I am creating this video today to demonstrate a couple of things about how widgets work and how we develop widgets. I'm hoping to give you a little bit of a taste of the workflows, of the patterns that we use, and I actually also dig into some code. So what I've got here is a junk food log, and I built this widget actually quite a long time ago. I probably started doing widgets 4, maybe 5 years ago, and this is one of the first widgets that I built. So this is using a quite old programming approach, which is based on jQuery. So my original widgets, I used a very different programming approach to what I'm using currently, the modern approach. And the new approach, the modern approach, is based on basically plain vanilla JavaScript. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do in this video is rip out the jQuery code and replace it with plain vanilla JavaScript. And hopefully you'll be able to understand that. If you know basic things about JavaScript and HTML, you will be able to follow along, I believe. So here's the widget. The widget is called the junk food log. It keeps track of junk food I eat. I go in every morning and do a little log kind of thing like this, chocolate bar, add, and it shows up there in my log, and updates these summary statistics. So it's telling me basically how much junk food on average I've consumed in different periods of time. So over the last 7 days, I've had 5 units of junk food, which is an average of 0.7. I try to stay below 1, but that's just my kind of personal preference. So there is this is the user interface. It's a very simple user interface. You create items here, they go into the log, and then you can delete them if you want. That's all it does. And I'll just go in and show you the data here. So it's going to be in a SQLite file. So all of the widgets have SQLite databases that back them up. And you can see here, so it's called, the widget is called junk food, and so the database is going to be junk food db lite, and that is, there's exactly one table. Some of the widgets have more tables. I'll just do a quick select here, log order by ID descending limit 10. This is going to be most recent. So you see the dates there are corresponding to this. So on September 14th, I had some of my aunt's lemon cake, which is really good. That is that record here. Now, just to show you how this data is flowing, let me do another chocolate bar here. So I'll add that for Thursday, September 17th, and get that again. So you can see that showed up right there. And now I'll delete it. And that should be deleted. These updates happen behind the scenes. You can see that this widget responds pretty much instantaneously to the user updates, and it sends the sync operations asynchronously to the database, so you don't have to wait for that update. Okay, so that is the idea. Here is the code. This is my trusty text editor called jedit, and you can see this code is jQuery. Right? This kind of style is jQuery, and I'm going to tear that out and replace it with vanilla JavaScript. And let me just show you the update procedure here. So I have a little script. The script has some configuration information that I've already set up, so I'm not going to dig into that now. But I run this file, and I run this script and upload it, and it just sends that up there. So let me demonstrate how that is sending those updates. So I'll just type in here. Here is an update, and send that. That update runs fast. I do have to do a page reload, which is a little bit slow because it has to slurp in all that data, but not a big deal. So that is the update. So that is going to be the workflow. So let me get started here. How am I going to start this? Let's see. Well, I think that I should. Okay. So there's two tables here. Here's the full log. It goes on for probably 90 days or something. And then there's a summary table. So let me start with the full log here. And I'm going to start by just commenting pretty much everything out. And I will say document.getElement by ID and just name that table. Right? This element is named full table, and I'm going to use the standard. This is the standard dynamic HTML approach. So there's no, and I'll just write that in a bold tag. And this is just to confirm that this operation is working. So I'll send that. And I'll do an update. And yes, so there we see that. So that's good. So this is accepting that HTML update. So I'll go back up here and I'll say var table, call this table string equals nothing to start out. So, or I guess I'll just make it the header. And these are backticks, so that's important. So HTML, the newest version of JavaScript allows you to do string formatting within backticks. So and the string can be multi-line. That's a very important thing. So I'm just going to be able to type in HTML like this, and this is going to be interpreted as the JavaScript is going to update. When you do this update, it's going to turn into what you want. That wasn't a very good explanation, but you'll see what I'm talking about soon. So I'm just copying out these, all the same table layout that's down here. And then I'm going to say on the very last line, I'm going to say table string plus equals. This is essentially the end of the table. That, and I will say table string. Let's see what that does. So I'm expecting to see just the header of this table. And let's refresh that. Nope. Some kind of issue going on there. Let's look at the JavaScript console. Unexpected ended info. That probably means I did not close this. That's right. So I somehow managed to delete that closing bracket. Fix that up. refresh that. And that looks good. Okay, so now we see the table headers there. I do need to put back in the style. Now, don't follow my lead on CSS here. This is not at all the right way to do CSS, but it's just what I've been using. I recommend you dig into that a little bit and figure out the right way to do it here. But I have a CSS definition for table, which is DCV basic, and that gives me the table formatting that I like. And these attributes come from this line. You see that's the jQuery way to do it, and this is just the direct way to do it, the vanilla JavaScript way to do it. Okay, so we see we got that table formatting, so that's good. And now I'm going to cut and paste this section. All right, so this iterates across all of the items in the list. And instead of var row string equals tr, that class doesn't actually do that. It's going to be like that. And then there's going to be a bunch of table cells that correspond to the data in there. I think there's about 5 of them. And the last line I'm going to say table string plus equals row string. All right, so I'm creating this row string and just tacking it on to the table string. See what that does. So what I'm expecting is to see a bunch of empty cells in this table. How does that work? Yep, you can see those empty cells. Perfect. And now what I want to do is I want to include this. So this says if it's is that right? That actually seems wrong. That's very weird. So the point is here I'm saying don't go more than 100 days. I've been doing this for years, so I don't need to see years worth of data in this load page. It's going to make it take a long time to render. But I'm just going to sort of ignore that for now. So for now I'm going to focus on the display. So I'm going to say daycode.get short day of week. This daycode thing is just my own little date functionality, date object. It has a couple of utility methods, one of which is get short day of week. And then I'm going to say day jk item.get daycode .substring 5. Again, I'm just copying the code that's lower here that's originally in jQuery. This substring is so that it only gives me it doesn't display the full ISO date code, just gives me the month and the date, right? So it would normally say 2020-09-17 instead of this shorter one. Shorter one is nicer. Right, so that's looking good. jk item.get junk factor. That is my own personal assessment of how much junk food, like what is the weight of the junk food. Like if I ate a whole chocolate cake, that would be like a 10. But then if I just eat one M&M, that's probably a 1 or less than a 1. Okay, so there is the data there. But like I like to put in records with 0 junk factor and call them so-called clean, just to remind myself that I actually did the logging for the date. Right? So if I see a clean record in there, I know that I actually did the log, as opposed to maybe I skipped the logging a couple days and I just didn't remember to do it. Okay. So now this is actually the most tricky one, because this has got a lot of this this basically this icon that's going to allow me to delete it. So this is going to be href equals JavaScript delete item jk item.get id close parens close href, and then we're going to have the image source equals life image move.png. Now, of course, if you're doing this on your own, you can have your own image data, or you can use mine. Mine are basically public. These little icons are basically public. And is that going to do it? I think that's going to do it. And you can see how this code is a lot more clean and compact and readable than this jQuery code. There may be some kind of performance issue. Like supposedly the newfangled frameworks have some sort of performance advantage. But again, widgets, the whole point of widgets is there's not that much data. Right? So I've been doing this for years. I can actually show you select count star from junk food log. So there's 1,800, almost 1,900 records. That's not a lot of data. So even if we're doing something that's a little bit inefficient in terms of the rendering performance, it's still on a modern computer going to render super fast. Okay, so there is the delete item option. So I'll do another thing here. Pumpkin pie. I'll add that. There it shows up. Just to confirm it got in there. There it is. Delete it. Are you sure you want to remove? Yes. Gone. Okay, so this new stuff all worked fine. I'll delete all the old junk. That was easy. I thought it was easy. I got lucky. It basically worked correctly the first time around. Often, if I wasn't lucky, I would have some big glitch that would blow up my programming session, and it'd take a lot longer than it should. I'm still confused about. Is this only going back 100 days? I guess this is the glitch that I'm. So it's doing the right thing, which is weird. Today is September 9th. Today is September 17th, and you can see it showing basically 100 days of data. I'll change that to 90 days. 100 is basically arbitrary. Yeah, that's weird too. Maybe huh. Right. Guess I'm not going to worry about it too much, but it's sort of strange that this is doing what I wanted to do, even though I don't understand why it's working correctly. All right, I'm not gonna worry too much about that. All right, let's go on to the next one. So that was the full log, and now we're going to go to the summary. And I've already written all the the logic that does the computation. So it's again, it's just going to be ripping out this jQuery and adding in plain vanilla JS. So I will use exactly the same approach that I used in the previous one. Table string equals by the way, one thing I want to point out is that you can use double quotes within the backticks. Right? You don't have to do any weird escaping thing to use these double quotes here. So that is a very nice feature in my mind. And yeah, again, just putting in these table headers. So this is going to be, how many is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say 4. And at the very end, I will say table string plus equals. Close that table. And then I'll say document.getElement by ID some table dot inner HTML equals table string. Okay, and yeah, we'll see how that does. So one thing I also want to point out is that this is a onboard JavaScript function, right? Document get element by ID dot inner HTML. There's nothing. You don't have to import any libraries to get the browser to do that. The browser's default implementation of JavaScript will do that for you. Let's see, what that didn't do what I wanted. It didn't show me. Oh, I didn't type anything in these. Okay, type in those table headers. Chunk weight per day. Send that up. That's weird. Why is it? It must be didn't close some of those tabs. Those tags were not closed. Gotta close your tags if you want good HTML. Okay, that looks good. And now I'm going to go ahead and copy this section. This is fine. Bar row string equals tr. daypro.get date string. I don't know what that. I don't really know what that variable name means, but I'm just cut and pasting here, so I'm sure it'll work. td jk per day dot to fixed. This to fixed thing makes it so that you don't display 25 decimals of precision on this UI. Table string plus equals row string. Okay, so that looks very compact. Nothing complicated going on there. Just a nice little for loop that's generating this text. I'll reload. And there it is. And let's just try to confirm that the calculation is actually working, although I don't huge, huge chocolate cake. Okay, so right, so it goes up 12 points. The total goes from 5 to 17. The junk weight goes to 2.4. So thankfully, I did not actually eat a huge chocolate cake. Thankfully or not, depending on your perspective. That is pretty much all I wanted to do today. Well, all I wanted to do in this video. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, make a comment on the video. Obviously, there's a lot else going on in this system, but it's not too bad. I mean, if again, it's one page. It's got about 250 lines of code. I showed you most of the display logic. There's a couple things that are like, okay, junk weight since, so it goes through the table and calculates the number of junk food totals since a particular date. But that's all just very basic. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again in a new video soon.